yo, what's good? New YouTube video and shit like that. I just asked, chat and stuff like that, what kind of, like, TV shows were they really reminiscent on growing up? You feel me? Big words, big words. But, like, you feel me? Like, what kind of TV shows was y'all fucking with? Was it, like, the Full Houses, the Family Matters, the Fresh Princes and stuff like that? And if it was Fresh Prince, because me personally, I fucked with Fresh Prince. That was my jams. If you did watch Fresh Prince growing up and stuff like that, when...
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a revolutionary 96.
Pause. When did it get old for you? Because honestly, not one season was bad to me. And mind you, I was a little ass toddler, so I had no idea what was a good episode and what was a bad. I couldn't tell the difference between a good episode and a bad episode if it socked me dead in the face. Because it's like, if it was good, the whole show was good. You know what I'm saying? If I liked the show growing up, every episode was good. There wasn't a bad episode to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Growing up, the TV shows and shit that you actually liked, there wasn't a bad episode to you. If you liked the show, everything was good. Every episode was good. There wasn't a bad episode. So, yeah. But, Fresh Prince. When the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air died, and it's not when you think. Let's go back in time a little bit. Let's reminisce about this shit.
Sitcom that ran for 6 seasons from 1990 to 1996. But like most sitcoms, things happened along the way that ruined the show for me before it went off the air. And if you're a fan of the series, it's not when you think it is. But before we dig in, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. In order to talk about the show's death, we need to talk about its birth and key moments leading up to its downfall. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was loosely based on the life of co-producer Benny Medina, who was a Latin American from East LA that was eventually taken in by a white family from Beverly Hills.
So this is based on...
The creators of the show include...
I thought this was based on, like, Will's actual life type shit.
Executive producer Quincy Jones, yes, that Quincy Jones, wanted to build the show around the young rapper Will Smith, so they named the series after his MC name Fresh Prince, and had his character come from Smith's real-life hometown of Philadelphia. And rather than having Will become adopted by a rich white family like Medina,
roll up
which
some,
was also a common theme on television at the time,
what do I call it? Some sage.
They had Will move in with his rich black relatives instead. Aside from being a star vehicle for Will Smith, the show also had 2 other significant purposes, which were to create a more authentic portrayal of black culture and to infuse the show with hip-hop culture that was sweeping the nation during the 90s. And each of these purposes were abundantly
Breaker 219 119 619. Hello, how we doing?
The pilot episode of the Fresh Prince Project
can I get
the show's catchy hip-hop theme song that told Will's backstory in Philadelphia when he was shooting some b-ball outside after school, when a couple of guys who were up to no good started making trouble in his
I don't want no still ass fries and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying?
His mom got scared and said,
"Can we get a number 4 and a number 3? Fresh!"
And the theme song actually included 2 extra verses for the first 3 episodes, before it was truncated in the 4th.
Nah, Fresh Prince was my jams, for real. I knew that fucking theme song by heart.
Aside from the catchy theme song, the pilot episode introduced us and Will to the other main characters.
If I started singing it right now off the top of my head, y'all might not believe that I know it by, like, by heart, but I promise you, I definitely do.
Matriarch, who is a college professor with a PhD, but also isn't afraid to throw down if the situation calls for it.
Word too, I love the mom.
3 children. Hillary, the eldest college-age sibling, who is unemployed,
but I didn't realize, like,
parts of dimwit and shopaholic.
Like, cause there are mad rumors about the mom and stuff like that throughout her career. Like, she was like, annoying and stuff. Like, she was like a diva.
Of white upper
I never realized that.
On the inside. The youngest Banks child, Ashley, is the most down-to-earth of the 3, and is often influenced by Will's rowdy behavior. And then there's the British butler Jeffrey, who is dignified, yet harbors a thinly veiled resentment towards the family.
And if you think about it, this was the first time I've seen a black butler
with storylines about how Will's wild and crazy attitude disrupts the Banks' family dynamic and sociality amongst their
I ain't trying to make it about race, but you know what I mean? You gotta give credit.
Will is quote-unquote a negative influence on Ashley by teaching her how to rap and trade in her violin for the drums, which is how Will Smith's real-life musical collaborator and best friend Jazz enters the show as Ashley's drum teacher. On that note, pun intended, one of the show's longest-running gags started in episode 2, when Jazz upsets Phil by scratching his classical music record during the family's tea time, and then Phil throws him out of the house. Most of the time, they reuse the same shot from episode 2 to avoid injuring Jazz with repeated takes, So it became an in-joke with fans that whenever Jazz wore that shirt,
So majority of the time you saw that clip pop up, it was the same
Another significant
original
element
one.
of the show
Copy.
introduced in
Lazy
season
ass
1
niggas.
was its meta
But it's all
humor,
good though.
with Will's fourth wall breaking
YouTube,
glances
don't
to
blame
the
me for
camera.
why I'm not in the video,
Many
but
storylines
trust
in
me,
season 1
I am
focused
here
on
in
social class
spirit.
issues, such as Will
I am
trying
rolling
to
up
adopt
some
upper-class
sage right
etiquette
now,
after
some
he meets a
burning
girl at
sage.
his
I'm very
neighborhood country
religious. I
club.
like to clear my
Or
room
when
of
Phil learns
demons.
to publicly
If you
embrace
haven't
his
known,
humble
I
upbringing
do
on a
this
farm
very often.
after he receives media attention
Actually,
for
psych, nah,
prestigious
like I'm
work.
actually just puffing
Will
on my
also
vape right
learns his
now. I'm
own
not
lessons
even
about
gonna
the
hold you.
distance between the life he now leads
You know, I'm
and
just
the life
puffing on
he
my
left
vape to be
behind.
honest with you. Yes,
Like
I
when his
babe.
mom
I
Vi
like. I
comes
know
to
it's not
visit
good
for
for
the
you, but
first
it's the
time.
healthy
In the
kind.
episode
Y'all know
Talking
about
Turkey,
this.
when she
It just
gets
came out.
upset
I
over
promise.
just how pampered a life Will has in the Banks' home. Or when Will's best friend from Philly,
I
known
promise
as
you, like
Ice
it
Tray,
really
comes
just
to
came
visit,
out. Like
who's
it's
played
like
by
a new
Don
type
Cheadle.
vape version.
And
It's
Phil and Vivian
like
are upset
yeah,
about
it's
Trey's
water vapor,
disrespect
but
for
it
their
has
lifestyle
no
and his
nicotine.
negative influence on Will.
Facts.
Another standout episode about social class issues is in Mistaken Identity, when Will and Carlton are the subjects of racial profiling.
Oh yeah, are
and
y'all
are
familiar
wrongfully
with the
accused
Bel
of
Air?
stealing the car of Phil's
Like
Laughlin partner.
the drama version
Philip
of this
and
show?
Vivian
It's
eventually
fire.
come to
I
their
fuck with
rescue,
it. Can't wait for
where
season
Phil
2.
delivers a
If there is
powerful
gonna be a season
reprimand to
2.
the officers for
I
illegal
really did fuck with it
detaining
like
his son
crazy.
and nephew. And the show ends on a somber note, as Carlton is left questioning the legal system that up to this point has served and protected him. This was only the 6th episode in the series, and would be the first of several examples.
I remember
of
one
how
of those
effective the show
episodes
was
when they
at
got pulled
tackling
over and shit
heavy
like
subject
that.
matter.
That nigga
Season
Colton
1
was pissing
also
me off at
included
the
a
end of
ton
the
cameo
episode though. That nigga was
appearances,
so
like
brain
the
dead.
original Shaft actor Richard Roundtree, Cosby Show star Malcolm Jamal Warner, supermodel Naomi Campbell, big music artists like Heavy D, Quincy Jones, Queen Latifah, and Tevin
No matter
Campbell,
what
and
you
pro-athletes Bo
did,
Jackson, Isaiah Thomas, and Evander
da-da-da.
Holyfield. But this brings me to the only stain on season
No
1's
matter
near
what
perfect
you
record,
did,
which is that almost all of these celebrity
da-da-da.
cameos appeared in a 2-part episode called Someday Your Prince Will Be in Effect. Because of all the cameos, there was quite possibly no budget left to write a good story. So in between all the cameos,
I'm
was
sorry,
a
I'm
clip
sorry, I'm
show.
sorry.
And these were
That
the
new
8th and 9th
Lil Yachty
episodes of the
song, I
first
think it's called
season,
Should I
which
Be?
was
It's
way
so fire.
too early to start reminiscing about the good times when there was hardly any show to actually
Reminisce
start
about
with
the good times.
But
Alright, I'm sorry,
thankfully,
I'm
some
sorry.
of the show's best moments were just
I don't know
at the
why I'm
end.
so singy and jolly lolly right now. I really have no idea.
Season 2 is
You
when
see,
I
I'm
think
back.
the
I didn't
series
go
took
nowhere.
2
I
big
never left
steps
frame.
forward
I'm right
and
here.
just one small step back.
Relax.
To speak for the good,
Boom, boom,
season
boom,
2
boom,
is when
boom,
the
boom,
Banks'
boom,
home
boom.
was
Y'all hear me?
updated to have
Mic
the
check,
look we
mic
remember
check.
it for today, with the staircase to the bedrooms now connected to the living room. And
You
the
see, I'm
conjoined
right
kitchen
here.
with the
I'm
doorless
right
entry,
here.
creating a
Hi.
seamless transition
Hi.
between the two
I didn't
main
go
parts of the
nowhere.
house.
Hi.
Season 2 is also when 2 important dance artifacts of the series were introduced, namely Vivian's dance audition and her midlife crisis episode, The Big 4-0, and Carlton's iconic dance moves in the episode Will's Christmas Show. That would become Alfonso Ribeiro's unintended pop culture legacy. And another memorable element introduced in Season 2 was the blooper reels during the end credits that added another layer onto the show's fourth wall breaking identity. But along those lines, one of the small downsides of this season was that Will's fourth wall breaking glances only happened once in Season 2, which seems strange to tone way down on that area of the show's branding when there were over a dozen of them in Season 1. Season 2 had another standout
Never really
episode
noticed
about
those like
racial and
that.
societal issues.
Because this is what I'm
In
saying,
the
like, you know,
episode Guess Who's
like,
Coming to
really
Dinner,
though, I'm not gonna
when
lie.
Will's
Watching
Aunt
shows that
Janice
you
is
really
getting
loved
married,
as a
and it's
kid is
revealed
really
that her
like
fiancé
watching a
is
whole
white,
different show
which
as
catches
an
everyone
adult.
off
Because you
guard,
see
especially
and you look
Vi,
for different shit,
who is
and
angered
different
by her
shit
sister's
stands out
interracial
to you,
marriage
bro.
because
It's
of her
literally like you're
old ways
watching
of
a whole
thinking.
nother show.
It was interesting because of how
I love
it
it.
portrayed black
Sometimes.
people struggling to discuss race
Sometimes it's a
politely,
good experience,
just like
sometimes it's
whites
not
or
so
any
good.
other race of people might do in that situation too. And as sitcoms do, the
Like-
story ended nicely with Will being
Like,
able
for
to help Vi
example,
let go of her
small
ways.
example, like
But
Flapjack.
aside from that, the racial and social commentary that the show had
Like
become
Flapjack,
known for
bro.
was toned down in this season
Whoever
to
isn't
focus more
familiar
on
with
Will and
Flapjack, the
Banks'
amazing
love
wild whatever
For
it mentioned
example,
of Flapjack,
in the
it
episode
appeared
Did the
on
Earth
Cartoon
Move
Network
for
and
You?
stuff like that.
Will
Growing
falls
up, that was
fast
one
in
of my
love with
favorite
the
Cartoon
woman who
Network
gives her
shows.
a ring.
And then I think I
But
tried to
later
watch
on,
it
they
again
get
like
trapped
2
in
or
the
3 years ago.
basement
I'm
and
like,
find
yo,
out
this
they
shit is
can't
literally
stand
for
each other and
babies.
decide to
Like, what the
separate.
fuck? This shit is for
This is the
kids.
first of several examples when Will's impulsive behavior in his
Just one
relationships gets the better
small
of him.
example.
And this plays an important role in how I think the show died down the road. Another important factor is when Will's player attitude is called into question in episode 8, She Ain't Heavy, when he realizes he has feelings for a full-figured woman, Dee Dee, played by Queen Latifah, but won't ask her to the school dance because she's not his usual type. In a pivotal moment, she overhears Will not standing up for her when others joke about her size behind her back.
No sense to me,
So
'cause she
ends
ain't
their
fat.
friendship. They both arrive at the dance with different dates that they weren't really interested in. Will's date is played by Nia Long, who we'll see more of later on in a different role.
Nia
But
Long
once
living
Will
her
and
best
Didi
fucking
both
life
catch
right
each
now.
other
People
trying
just can't
liven
seem
up
to
the
mind their
evening
business.
by putting straws up their noses. They fall
for
in
real,
love
for real.
in a dreamlike sequence, and then the episode ends with them
Like, she
snuggling
got
up
cheated
together
on. Like,
watching
what is she supposed to
television
do?
with
Like,
the
sit at
family.
home and just
But
cry?
regardless of the important
I'm back on
life-altering
one. Like,
lesson
I
Will
don't get it.
learned,
That's Creole for
and the
I don't
relationship that
understand.
came from it was all for nothing. Because after this episode, Will goes back to being his shallow player self, and Didi was never heard from again. Although this isn't the worst case when the show didn't follow through on a significant plot point, it's an example of another recurring problem that would kill the show for me later on. Season 3 is when the show reached its highest ratings, but also when it started to show a little more signs of age. For example, the first episode of the season rehashed old ideas from the pilot, when Will returns to Bel Air after a summer vacation in Philly, becomes a negative influence again on Ashley, and disrupts another one of Phil's parties with his radical sense of fashion. In that same episode, the writers also borrowed a page from Season 1's Mistaken Identity, where Will is racially profiled again for stealing a car when he sets off its proximity alarm while dressed like a hooligan. But this time, the racial profiling was strangely played for laughs, and was quickly resolved off-screen, and Will is dropped off at home by the cop, who apparently became his buddy during the whole ordeal. So having racial profiling be played for laughs here felt incongruent, since the topic was treated so seriously in Season 1. Another...
I didn't want to down the mood, but I low-key wanted to bring up that little thingy. That little news thing that I just, not just, but I've been seeing on like a little bit on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. About those, I think it was 4 or 5 Michigan police officers. Like, they beat another black man to death and stuff like that, and all 4 or 5 police of the officers, they were black themselves. And it's like, you may say, what does the race of them have to matter? But bro, like, this is social media. Obviously race is gonna pop up when it comes to like a police brutality type shit. Race always comes up. And I just want to touch on this briefly because I didn't want to, like, you know, bring down the mood too much, because, you know, Fresh Prince, good vibes. But it's just like, I understand the reason. Okay, I understand the reason for bringing up race, but to keep it a buck with you, it's just like, you gotta understand why people is bringing up race. Yes, I understand. It's just like, yo, are we gonna bring up race in every single police brutality situation? But you gotta understand that, like, you know, the side that those people are coming from. It's just like, if it were to be a white police officer that were to do that, it's just the consequences wouldn't be as instantaneous when it comes to like a black one. You know what I'm saying? Like, these black niggas, they got locked up with the quickness. You know what I'm saying? They wasted no time. They locked them niggas up through with the key. Them niggas ain't gonna see the light of the day until they have their court cases and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they ain't gonna beat them. They killed the nigga. You feel me? In GTA. Well, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was news. Like, this is real shit. So it's just like, you know, like, obviously race is gonna be brought up in a situation like that. Like, you feel me? I just wanted to briefly, like, touch on that and stuff like that. But, like, you know, like, prayers go out to, like, you know, that man's family and stuff like that. He didn't have to go out the way how he did and stuff like that, regardless of whatever crime that he committed, or regardless of whatever he did. He didn't deserve to lose his life over some stupid shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, and then it does sting a little more when you see that it was 5 black men that did that to another black man. It does sting a little more, you know what I'm saying? Like, speaking as a black man, you know what I'm saying? Like, it does hurt. It does sting seeing that. It's just like, bro, like, why are we doing this to our own people type shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just stories like this that make the racist niggas, like hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, they see shit like this and, like, immediately they just gonna be like, see? I knew it. Bunch of fucking... You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what y'all are. You know what I mean? Like, y'all acting just the way how we expected y'all to. You know what I mean? It's just... we proving them right. When we, like, you know, when I be seeing shit like this.
Area where the show is spinning its wheels was with Hillary having to find another job to support herself. And this time she became a TV weather girl, where she meets and falls in love with her colleague Trevor. But one standout episode when the show returned to its roots was dealing with social class issues in episode 2, Will Gets Committed, when Will and the Banks volunteer to clean up the Banks' old neighborhood that was destroyed by gang riots. Will meets Noah, who calls the Fresh Prince out for not being truly committed to helping his community, When Will admits
Man,
he
you ain't
doesn't
really
have
committed,
plans to
man.
come
You ain't
back.
really out here. You
The
ain't really
conflict
for
is
the cause,
significant
bro.
because of how it's a juxtaposition of the privilege Will has experienced by being lifted out of his own poverty, and now
It's
he's
like,
the
nigga,
one
like
getting
what? Just
called out
because
for
I got
forgetting where he
myself
comes
out
from.
of a bad
Which is
situation, you
especially
hating on
spiteful,
me?
since he called Uncle Phil out for
Hate
the
that
same
shit.
reason in the pilot episode.
Just because, like, you know,
I
like
remind
shit,
you
like,
of
you know
where
what I'm
you
saying?
came
Like, just
from and
because
what
shit
you
turned
used to
around
be.
for me,
Now,
like,
I don't
you
know,
hating
somewhere
on
between
me.
Princeton
Wow,
or the
you should be
office,
happy
got
for me
soft.
as a
You got
friend, as a
you
real
are
nigga.
Where you came from.
In Season 3, the show's overarching narrative of Will finding a family with the Banks progressed further in the episode Mommy Nearest, when Vi wants Will to move back to Philly to live with her, but Will reluctantly tells her he wants to stay in Bel Air. And in the episode Just Say Yo, Will's relationship with Carlton...
One thing about the show, though, I never fucking believed that Will was supposed to be a high schooler. I'm sorry. Just look at the nigga, bro. Like, you're like 6'5". Like, come on, bro. Like, really?
took more steps toward
I
brotherly
don't think he was
love.
6'5". He probably just looks that tall. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody looks taller on TV. I'm just letting you know that now. Women, too. Women look way taller on TV than they actually is. And, like, mind you, they be like 5'4", and they just don't look that on TV. But, yeah. He's
When
probably like
Carlton
6'3",
is hospitalized
6'4".
for
How tall is
accidentally
Will Smith?
taking Will's amphetamines, who in the end sincerely apologizes and tells Carlton he loves him.
How tall
And
is Will
Carlton
Smith?
reciprocates Will's sincere feelings in the season finale 6 Degrees of Graduation, when Carlton gives the valedictorian speech and
He's
implies
6'2",
that Will
there
is
we
his
go.
best friend. And
6'2".
Will responds by mouthing the words
I got
"You
it
the
right.
man" during the applause.
I got it right. I said
Despite
6'3".
this, they continue to antagonize each other as the series moves on. But this season showed that underneath their petty rivalries, they really do care for one another like
Word,
brothers.
that's my dog.
Another
It's my
area
dog
of the
for
family
real,
that
you know what I'm
developed in
saying? It's my
season
dog.
3 was Vivian announcing she's pregnant to coincide with Janet Hubert's real-life pregnancy. That in episode 20 led to the birth of the Banks' newest son,
Her character,
Nicholas,
this
or
was when
Nicky
it
for
started
short.
to go down
But
for her.
because of Vivian's pregnancy, Vivian's
IRL.
presence felt muted throughout the season, with most of her appearances feeling brief and only revolving around food cravings and mood swings. But unfortunately, things would only get worse for Janet Hubert in season 4, when she was forced out of her role and replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid. Now, enough could be said about this old controversy to deserve its own video. But to summarize, due to Hubert's personal struggles at home, including abuse, there were behind-the-scenes tensions that motivated Will Smith to have NBC give Hubert a lousy deal for season 4, where she would have been forced to take a pay cut by appearing in less episodes, and she also
getting
would have
paid
been legally
$250,000 a year.
obligated to not work on any other projects outside of the show. So given those terms, Hubert felt forced to walk away from the role, despite the effect it would have on her family, career, and her reputation. So Daphne Reid stepped into the role, who was offered the part early on, but turned it down because
So she was
didn't want to
originally
work with a
supposed to
rapper.
be the mom.
It was a decision Reid would regret once she saw how fun the show was, so she jumped at the chance to play Vivian when the role was offered to her again. Now, many of you might have been thinking when you clicked on this video that this would be when I think the show died, because to use Will Smith's
For me,
words,
There's
ah.
a certain foundational element.
Okay, as a kid growing up, it really ain't affect me. Watching it as an adult, I don't think it would. I don't think it would affect me neither. Keep it a buck. I still don't think it would have like little to no effect on me now. To keep it a buck with you. Be honest.
That was broken when Janet left.
but although I do agree with Will's statement, and I liked Hubert's strong assertive version of Vivian over Reid's softer
Yeah,
approach,
cake,
do agree
though.
with
Let's
Will's
keep it a
statement,
buck.
and I liked Hubert's strong assertive version of Vivian
Yes,
over Reid's
man.
softer approach, I still think the show had more life in it despite this jarring change in the family dynamic. Having said that, though, I do have very mixed emotions about Season 4, because of the show's lack of commitment to take the risks it proposed. The worst example of this is in the two-part season opener, When There's a Will, There's a Way, because of several big plot points that were introduced and weren't followed through. For starters, Carlton and Will are in college now, so they move into an
I'm not gonna lie, I remember, like, this is a random ass thought. Like, when niggas used to fucking, like, in the middle of, their videos, they still, like, you know, do some crazy shit for, their thumbnails and stuff like that. Like like that. Or hold on. Okay. Like a... Okay.
to an apartment.
I'm actually going to use
By the
that.
end of the second episode, they're evicted and move back to Bel Air to live in the pool house where Hillary used to live with her boyfriend Trevor. On that subject, in the first episode, Hillary surprises everyone that she and Trevor are preparing for marriage, but this is also reversed in the second episode.
And then
When
he
Trevor
died.
asks the
I'm not gonna
question
lie,
while
that was
bungee
kind of
jumping on
dark
live
the way
TV,
how he died.
and then
Imagine jumping off.
yet hilariously
like,
died when he hits the ground.
That would scar you for life. Imagine seeing your fiance jump off a bridge.
So Hillary moves back home too. Now,
Concrete
I
in
agree that
GTA,
keeping
bro.
everyone under the same roof
While
was better for
proposing
the
to you,
show,
that would
because
scar
having
any
3
woman.
members of the cast move away, especially one of them
Like,
being
for
the
real.
star,
Like, how would
would
you
have
want
harmed
to
the
get
show
married
because of how
ever
difficult
again?
it would have been to maintain the family dynamic with all the kids living in separate places. But pitching the idea and reverting everything back to normal so quickly like this was a bait and switch, and just felt like a waste of time. Another missed opportunity introduced in the season 4 opener was with Will reuniting with an old friend, Jackie, played by Tyra Banks, who moved from Philly to attend ULA on a scholarship. It's made clear that there's chemistry between them, and Will has remained interested
My
after all
headphones
these
just told me
years.
that their battery's
and to
low.
thicken the plot, Will finds out
I
Jackie
just felt like I
works
should
at the
have to
campus
share
store,
that
the
with
Peacock
y'all
stop,
too.
and she offers him a job to keep him close by. But despite this will they won't they friendship
Psych!
lasting 12 episodes, it never
I really
amounts to
should have
anything.
charged these though.
Because in the episode You've Got to Be a Football Hero, Will confronts Jackie's boyfriend Hank in an act of jealousy and tries to prove himself the better man by beating Hank in a drinking contest. Jackie gets upset about the pointless contest for her affection and asks Carlton to take her home, and leaves the show without a trace. No heart-to-heart with Will to explain why she's done with him and where she's going to go from there. She's just gone. And in episode 15,
I never
Who's
realized
the Boss,
that was the
Carlton
last
replaces her as
episode
the
that
store
she was
manager.
there.
The only significant storyline in this
That's
season
how little
that
of
did
an
seem to
impact
stick
her character
was
made,
Jazz
'cause
getting
I didn't
married
even
to his
realize
girlfriend,
that
Jewel.
was the
But
last
I'll talk
episode
more
that she
about
was
that
there.
later. But what saved season 4 from completely going
I'm
downhill?
not gonna do that because
were
these
more
niggas are
very
thugs.
special
I'm not gonna hold you. These frats and shit, they thugs for real. I'm not gonna hold you. You do any of they, thingies and stuff like that, like whatever about them, these niggas will be pressing your ass. These niggas is thugs for real. Like, damn, be trying to intimidate niggas and shit like that. But I respect it though. You know what I'm saying? Like, rarely ever do black people have something solely for them and stuff like that. I feel it. Be protective, you know what I mean? But it really seems very, like, gangish. I'm not gonna hold you.
episodes that dealt with heavier topics.
Yo!
Like another
Headphones.
story
I
about
get it.
racial
You're
and
low.
social
That's the
class
second
issues
time it
in
just
Blood
told me.
is
I feel like
Thicker
I had to
Than
share
Mud.
that.
When Carlton is persecuted and ultimately rejected from a fraternity he wants to join because the leader looks down upon him for his high-class upbringing. Another story that affects Carlton deeply is in the episode Home is Where the Heart Attack Is, where, as the title implies, Phil has a heart attack and Carlton can't bring himself to visit his father in the hospital because he can't cope with the fact that his dad won't be in his life forever.
Real shit.
This strikes a heavy chord with Will, who is angered and calls out his cousin for being selfish.
Selfish
because Will
ass
mentioned he has
motherfucker.
no
I never
relationship
met
with
my
his
daddy.
father and doesn't
Yo,
even
nigga,
know
I
who
never
he
knew
is.
my motherfucking daddy. You should be
Which
motherfucking
brings
grateful
me
that
to
you
the
got to
best
meet yours, you
episode of the
motherfucker.
entire series
Know what
that
I mean?
answers that
Motherfucker.
question. And Papa's got a brand new excuse. When Will's father, Lou, who is a self-employed truck driver, tries to re-enter his son's life after 14 years of being absent. Will is reluctant to accept his father's plea, but he eventually opens up his heart to embrace Lou as his dad, and accepts an invitation to join him on the road for the summer so they can spend some quality time together. But when it comes time to leave, Will is crushed to find out Lou has made a change of plans at the last minute and leaves his son behind. And what follows
Fuck
is
that
arguably the most heartbreaking monologue ever performed in a sitcom.
Why don't my dad want me, man?
How come you don't want me, man?
Real shit. Can make a grown man cry. I cried at this the first time I saw it. Definitely. I cried at this.
The season could have ended there, and perhaps it should have, because the next episode was another clip show that stemmed from the Banks family reminiscing about the good times while attempting and failing to sell their
Hey, that's
home to
Trump.
Donald Trump. And season 4 failed to stick the landing in its final episode, The Philadelphia Story, when Will and the Banks go back to Philly to visit Vi and check out their old neighborhood. The idea for the story was interesting because it was a chance to flesh out Will's backstory, and what made it even better was when Will finds out his reputation has been tarnished since he left, because everyone thinks he's a chicken for running away from his problems. So Will prepares to confront his old bully, that he jokes was the guy twirling him over his head in the opening credits. And after a rocky training montage, Will finds out the guy has changed his life around, and now gives back to the community. So this convinces Will he's got nothing to run from anymore,
Nip slip.
and the season ends on a cliffhanger, when Will shocks the family by telling them he's going to stay in Philadelphia. But as we already know from season 4, the creators seem to understand that the show couldn't survive with its main cast split up. So at the beginning of season 5, they did a quick bait and switch again by having NBC executives show up in the cold
Bitch,
open
I
to
know
take
you remember
Will
that
back
you
to
signed this
Bel-Air.
contract. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, you signed your life away to us. What is wrong with you? You ain't just gonna having, like, a epiphany, go back to your hood, realize that, you know, there's more. Like, you know, yo, headphones? Headphones? Okay. Like, bro, you ain't just gonna go, like, you know, you ain't just gonna go back to your hood, your hometown, have a whole motherfucking epiphany, realizing that there's more to life than, like, you know, just running away and stuff like that. Like, you feel me? Like, you really gotta just come back to your roots and really, like, appreciate where you came from. Nigga, you signed a blood oath. You coming back to be on this TV show, nigga.
And then the rest of the
Like,
episode
yo.
was about a completely different storyline.
Real
Having
shit.
said that, I'll give them some credit that this Deus Ex Machina moment was at least on brand by breaking
Like,
the
nigga,
fourth
get the
wall
fuck
with the
back in the
signature
damn
meta
car.
humor. But in this case, it just felt lazy and cheap to return everything back to normal so quickly and inexplicably after baiting viewers with such a big cliffhanger between seasons. Like the season 4 opener, this demonstrated again that the creators weren't intending to follow through with this new storyline. And yet again, this all felt like a waste of the viewer's time. And unfortunately, the rest of the season didn't get much better in that regard. Season 5 shook things up by almost entirely focusing on Will's relationship with his newest girlfriend, Lisa, played by Nia Long, who he met in episode 6, Will's Misery. But this was also another storyline that ended up being for nothing. To begin with, Lisa and Will's relationship started off very problematically when she invites Will to her family's cabin for their second date.
Oh!
But that's when she turns psycho on him and ties him up as a
Shorty
prank
would
in
have
order
to
to get into
see
a sorority
me.
that has it in
What?
for Will's
After,
womanizing
nah, I'm not
behavior.
gonna lie.
But when Will escapes
You
her
would have
trap,
to
she
see
tells him
me.
the truth about what she's doing and admits it was Carlton's idea and reveals that she really does like him.
Bro,
and
she
wants
put
to
that boy
continue
Will
dating.
through hell that night.
So then Will is automatically relieved despite the trauma she's caused him and decides to play along with her prank to help her get initiated. Even for sitcom standards,
what
this
you
is a
mean?
pretty far-fetched way to establish what would become Will's longest-lasting
I'm still here.
and most serious relationship.
Still here.
As a side note, though, the one redeemable quality about this episode was Carlton's reaction to Will getting back at him by implying that he had to kill Lisa to escape, which
Oh,
sends
God.
Carlton in a fourth
Still
wall-breaking
here.
frenzy
Still
by
here.
running
Didn't
amok
go nowhere.
throughout the
Still in
entire
frame.
studio. Even though
just
Will
behind
and
the
Lisa's
video.
relationship was poorly conceived, as the season developed, they seemed to fall genuinely in love with each other. And Will even showed signs of growth to become a mature and faithful man, which was a refreshing direction to take his character given his usual player attitude. Will's love for Lisa and his overall direction in life would drastically change in the episode Bullets Over Bel-Air, when Will gets shot trying to protect Carlton while being robbed at gunpoint at an ATM. While recovering in the hospital, Will discovers that Carlton has bought a gun, and after a heated discussion, Will is able to get Carlton to hand it over as payback for saving his life.
Give me the gun. I saved your life. I want the gun.
Yo, if this headphones tells me one more time that the battery's low, I get it. Damn.
Although this scene doesn't land as heavy as the episode
It's
about
definitely
Will's
gonna turn
father,
off right
it
in
is still
the middle of
remembered
something.
by
But I just
fans
want to
as one
finish
of
out
the
this
best of
video,
the
and then I'll
series.
switch over to my backups.
And because of
Y'all didn't
Will's
need to
brush
know
with
that, but I'm
death,
gonna
he
fill y'all
realizes how
in,
precious
'cause I'm
life
still
is.
here.
And in the following episode,
Why
of
does my
Decent Proposal,
thumb
Will
look
pops the
orange?
question, but it's
Or
quickly
is that just
revealed
me?
that Lisa has doubts, and she eventually admits Will is overreacting from all the trauma he's gone through. But Will reassures Lisa his love is real and isn't going to change. However, if the show has taught us anything, it's that one of Will's weaknesses is rushing into things with his girlfriends before he fully realizes
Let's get
the
married.
consequences of his choices.
I'm back.
And the show
Steve,
itself
you
has
happy? You
exhibited
happy
that
now? I'm
same
back.
behavior by constantly going down directions it never fully committed to. Up to this point, Will and Lisa's relationship was the longest plot line the creators followed through on, so that's what made its reversal sting even more. In the season 5 finale, For Whom the Wedding Bells Toll, seeds of doubt about Will's marriage are planted by Jazz, who conveniently just divorced Jewel in time for this episode, explaining that he didn't really know his
Another
wife.
random thing,
And
I
soon
could
after,
never
Lisa
be with
also
the actor.
conveniently reveals to Will
Actress.
that her real name is Beulah.
Your name is Lisa, isn't it?
Well, it is now. I mean, I just couldn't go through life hearing people say, hey, Beulah.
So with those doubts in mind, right before the wedding, Will and Lisa get apprehensive about their marriage. And at the altar, they come to grips that they should separate, because they're two totally different people. But the wedding isn't a total loss, because following in her son's footsteps, Vi and Lisa's dad, Fred, conveniently fell fast in love in this episode and rushed into their own marriage by taking Will and Lisa's place at the altar. But yet again, this was all just for show, because after this episode, Vi will continue to appear without Fred, and her marriage will never be discussed again. Something the show did commit to was to end the series at the end of season 6, and in that season, it was evident that the end was near, because the show felt like it was mostly just coasting by rehashing old ideas. In episode 1, Burning Down
Sorry, I
the
just
House,
got an
Will
alert
sets the
from, like,
kitchen
you know,
stove
one
on
of my
fire, like Hillary did
cameras,
back
you know,
in
from my
season
security
4.
cameras. That
And in
somebody
that
was
same
at my door.
episode, Will ruined yet another dinner party like he did at the beginning of seasons 1 and 3. Another rehashed storyline was in episode 8, Viva Las Wages, where Will and Carlton get themselves into money trouble and have to dance to earn it back like they did in season 2. The lackluster 6th season ended on a
killed
high
that
note
Michael
in
Jackson
the two-part
shit, though, I'm
series
not gonna
finale, I Done, which was a gift the show was able to give its fans by knowing when the end was coming. But unfortunately, the end had already come much earlier for me, during the season 5 finale For Whom the Wedding Bells Toll on May 15th, 1995. Because at that point, the series had gone too far by teasing several big story ideas without following through.
I hope you
with
guys
any
aren't
of
hearing the battery low
and the
shit.
last bait and switch
I'm about
to
to
end
switch
Will and
these
Lisa's
shits.
wedding
This
was
video
the
is about to
final
end
blow
up, though.
that killed the show for me. Click a video on the screen to enjoy more great content right here
Perfect
on
time.
Fun Fact Films.
W motherfucking video. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna just keep on randomly, like, you know, sporadically talking and facts. You ain't gonna realize when I'm gonna stop the video. You ain't gonna know when I'm gonna stop the video. You feel me? I could have been stopped the video. I could have been.